Okay, it's a great privilege for me to address you on the occasion of this global conference on Fratelli Tutti, 𝗂𝗂𝗏 Insaniyyah, Building Bridges for Human Solidarity. This conference is collaboratively organized by 5 institutions involved in interfaith dialogue, namely Tangaza University College of Kenya, Umma University, also of Kenya, Harmony Institute, also in Kenya, UIN Sunan Kalijaga Yogyakarta, Indonesia, Global Ministries University in California. From various continents, universities, religious traditions, we come together for this conference under the theme Confronting Intolerance, Religious Extremism, and Violence. It is my honor and privilege to be able to deliver my thoughts on such an important matter of our country. In my day-to-day life, I wear many hats. As a member of Bangsamoro Parliament, as Executive Director of the Qalam Institute, as a husband, a father, an Iranun, a Filipino citizen. Oftentimes, I find myself that I must wear these roles simultaneously. Allow me to speak on the bonds of fraternity that have been formed within the Ateneo de Davao University towards the Bangsamoro and the Filipino nation. In the Qalam Institute, we have the unique position of being both an academe and a community-based organization. We worked in the past 10 years helping the Bangsamoro peace process to come to its fruition. Within that 10 years, I was also appointed on different government posts. In the Duterte administration, I became part of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission as crafters of the Bangsamoro Basic Law, which eventually passed by Congress and became the Bangsamoro Organic Law. The Bangsamoro peace process refers to the armed struggle of the Bangsamoro people, or the Muslims in southern part of Mindanao. According to the International Crisis Group, and I quote, "The peace process in Bangsamoro, the majority Muslim region in southern Philippines, requires disarming some 40,000 members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, fighters, and ensuring both their smooth integration into civilian life and peace dividends for communities where they live." Unquote. The comprehensive agreement of the Bangsamoro was signed last 2014 by both parties, the Philippine government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. With the current status of the approval of the Bangsamoro Basic Law or Bangsamoro Organic Law, and with our transition with the BTA, we rejoice in the advances that have been made through the establishment of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, in implementation of the Comprehensive Agreement of Bangsamoro. At the same time, we know that our shared dream of establishing lasting peace and harmony in Mindanao is still a work in progress. In this context, the importance of the theme of this conference is evident. We can already recall the historical document for human fraternity for world peace and living traditions, signed by Pope Francis and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar University, Ahmed Al-Tayeb, on February 4, 2019. Its central message was shared declaration of the culture of dialogue as the path, mutual or collaboration as the code of conduct, and reciprocal understanding as the method and standard. In Pope Francis' encyclical Fratelli Tutti on fraternity and social friendship, Pope Francis integrates the insights and declaration of this document largely verbatim, and I will quote them. For this conference, I would like to share my personal and professional experiences, and in the process, I would like to focus on 3 points: fraternity, social friendship, dialogue, and perhaps a conversion to fraternity. On the topic of fraternity, Pope Francis wrote in the Fratelli Tutti that created by a loving God, we are brother and sister to the sun, the sea, and the world, yet even closer in fraternity to those of own flesh. In this fraternity, all are connected as sisters and brothers. As human persons, all belong to one single human family. No one is excluded. All possess an inviolable human dignity. No one is accepted. This is the real fraternity as created naturally by God. It is the fraternity willed in created nature of God, even as He created man and women free. Fraternity is thus not an abstract concept of humanity, but created man making him or herself in history, each individual realizing him or herself in contributing to the realization of fraternity, that is, universal humanity. In a world in which this fraternity is denied in practice, its reality is self-fulfilling aspiration, a shared self-fulfilling dream, a shared self-realizing obligation, despite the tendency to man to selfishness, concupiscence that shatters his dream. This is an obligation the human being fulfills in exercising the power he has to fulfill it. It cannot remain merely conceptual, merely on the level of words. It involves self-humanity changing into action that allows all to live together in harmony and peace, without all of us having to be the same. In the Philippine context, the passage of the Bangsamoro Organic Law shows the true essence of fraternity. As you may all know, our country is a Christian majority, with more than 80% of its population are Christians. Muslims are a minority of less than 15% of the population. Thus, to end the more than 4 decades of war, where more than 100,000 people were killed, wounded, and properties were damaged, the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front signed an agreement. And it took us a year and a half in our work in the BTC to President Duterte the Bangsamoro Basic Law. The Congress approved a common version, thus naming it Bangsamoro Organic Law. The said organic law, which was ratified by the Senate, aims to institutionalize provisions of the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. The preamble of the law states, and I quote, imploring the aid of Almighty God in recognition of the aspirations of the Bangsamoro people, all other inhabitants in the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao, to establish an enduring peace in the basis of justice, balanced society, and asserting their rights to conserve, develop their patrimony, reflective of their system of life as prescribed by their faith, in harmony with their customary laws, cultures, and traditions, within the framework of this Constitution and the national sovereignty as well as national territorial integrity of the Republic of the Philippines, the accepted principles of human rights, liberty, justice, democracy, and the accepted principles of human rights and the right to chart their political future through a democratic process that will secure their identity and prosperity and allow genuine and meaningful self-governance, the Filipino people, by the Congress of the Philippines, do hereby ordain and promulgate this organic law for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. As written in the preamble, it is the national government through the Congress with more than 200 members, congressmen and women, who comes from the Catholic faith, gave us the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao to end the war. On social friendship therefore promotes fraternity. I give only some of the examples Pope Francis discusses. It consciously cultivates fraternity, promotes it through political will, through education in fraternity, through dialogue, through recognition of values of reciprocity and mutual enrichment. It is freedom directed above all to love of all, to the love of all. It is the quality of all achieved in the historical cultivation of fraternity. It is the hard work of craftsmanship demanded to attain social peace. It is relating to the truth, not to lead towards revenge, but rather to reconciliation and forgiveness. It is astute negotiation crafted above all by peoples. It is getting people to tread the path to peace, to work together side by side, in pursuing goals that benefit everyone and serve the common good. It is mediating reconciliation among belligerent parties. It is working for equality and integral development of a condition for peace. In the end, Pope Francis says, there is no end to the building of a country's social peace. Rather, it is an open-ended endeavor, a never-ending task that demands the commitment of everyone and challenges us to work tirelessly to build the unity of the nation. At its center, human person and respect for the common good. We apply this principle in the region. We help our Christians and indigenous peoples, our brothers and sisters, We do continuously outreach programs and pass laws that are inclusive to the rights and welfare of our people. On dialogue, Pope Francis describes dialogue in different lights. Dialogue is approaching, speaking, listening, looking at, coming to know and understand one another to find common ground. It does not make headlines, but helps the world. In a country, dialogue is that which allows it to flourish in many cultural components. Dialogue is engagement, not parallel monologues on social media. It is a respectful process aimed at achieving agreement on a level deeper than media's potpourri of facts and opinions. Authentic social dialogue involves the ability to respect the other's point of view and to admit that it may include legitimate convictions and concerns. In the true spirit of dialogue, we grow in our ability to grasp significance of what others say and do, even if we cannot accept it as our own conviction. Dialogue appreciates the differences, but the differences are creative. They create tension, and in the resolution of tension lies human's progress. As Al-Qalam, we strive to work towards excellent formation, instruction, research, engagement in areas that need it most. We engage in discussions called Bichala sessions, Bichala being the Magindanaon word for dialogue, with our stakeholders. We work together with Muslim student associations or MSAs, and we have our Bichala Center here in Cotabato City in order to serve our communities in a much more direct manner. These are but small steps towards a greater scope of nation building. As Chief Minister Ahud Bulawag Murad Ibrahim has recalled for the Bangsamoro government to subscribe by moral governance, we reflect on document on human fraternity for world peace and living together as signed by Pope Francis and the Grand Imam Ahmad Al-Tayeb as a reference for the kind of moral governance that we all envision. Dialogue, understanding, and the widespread promotion of a culture of tolerance, acceptance of others, and of living together peacefully would contribute significantly to reducing many economic, social, political, and environmental problems that weigh so heavily on a large part of humanity. And in dialogue among believers means coming together in a vast space of spiritual, human, and social values, and from here transmitting the highest moral virtues that religions aim for. It is also means avoiding unproductive discussions. It is clear that from these provisions found in the document I mentioned in my talk that we cannot sit idle. Dialogues are the first step towards coming together and finding concrete solutions to societal ills. We cannot stand and sit in our ivory towers as conflict and terror happen to our communities. As persons, we are all granted free will to be able to make our decisions. What better expression of human fraternity is there than to choose to sit with others who are different from you and learning from them? In closing, because we are one in the Ateneo, we are one in Mindanao, we are one in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, any act of hate or injustice towards one is injustice towards all. This sense of social responsibility and love for our brothers and sisters is something that we hope for, foster, and not just in our youth, but in the communities outside as well. We are also called by this document to put these discussions, these dialogues into action. Let us put the words of Fratelli Tutti to heart, so that many may walk together with the bonds of human brotherhood. Thank you, and wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.